Nice. Okay, so yeah, thanks guys. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll see everybody tomorrow. And what we will do is... Hello. Oh, hello. Yeah, so long old day. Who are you gonna call? 118. Oh, guys, honestly, whoa, we made it. We genuinely made it, because today was a Monday. And whoever thought it would be a good idea to do a stream on a Monday? I don't know. Probably 10, 15,000, 500,000 people before me? Quite possibly. But, tell you what, I am pooped. I am utterly pooped. How are you doing? How are you doing? Hey, Fred. Oh, man. How's work going? Is it going okay? I put this on like low latency, so we'll see how it goes. I'm looking around you as I usually am, because I'm just not used to the camera being up my nose. You know, that's what it is. But I thought, yeah, we'll do like an hour and a half, something like that. I don't know. Bit of an exciting thing as well is Sam is possibly going to be joining us. Whether that happens or not is to be seen, not because Sam is unreliable, but because I am unreliable in terms of setting things up. So I'm using, I can't remember what it's called. OBS Ninja. There we go. Never used it before. It'll be an experience. We'll see if we can get him on. I've sent him the stuff he needs. I'm assuming you can hear me as well, Fred. I should have said that, really. It's great as well that you're doing well in work. I think it's a hard thing to be good at work on a Monday. Yeah, my work was really tough today, actually. A few meetings, put on the spot a few times, which is fine. I'm just not used to it. Work a very easy job. Well, I don't know. It's not easy. It's not easy. On the surface, it's easy. It's very mentally taxing. But it keeps me alert for the night stuff that I do. I'll just let you interpret that. I'm going to be slurring my words, probably. Not because of alcohol or anything. Not this early in the week. But yeah, I'm just so tired. I don't know why, but the dog, just as amazing and lovely and loving as she is, just kept me up. So yeah, I don't know what that means. Like, sometimes it just gets in animals' brains, doesn't it? I went outside, I checked, I asked her to make. She didn't have anything to make, so, you know, we're not that close to the beach, so she couldn't make a sandcastle. So that was a bit of a shame, but yeah, never mind. So I thought we'll basically just get on with it, because we've got this track that we're doing, and you know, I'm considering now starting to get to the point where I'm going to be doing some off stream as well, just to be, you know, magical with it. How much did we do? Hey Michael, how are you doing? We did we done less than 30 seconds, but we were chatting a lot, weren't we, last time? So yeah, we'll tinker with that 30 seconds maybe, or even just move on to the next little bit. See if we can use some musical orchestration. Sorry. No. This is even worse than I'm muted. I am not muted. I cannot be muted. Am I muted? It's not saying I'm muted. So, like, I don't know. Message retracted. Were you muted, Michael? Was it you who was muted on your end? Be truthful with me. I'm going to type that just in case. Actually, it's all good. All God? Good. There we go. There we go. You know, most people do. I talk a lot. So, you know that now. I am on the forum all the time, chatting my head off. Hopefully with fun things and whatnot, but not always. Yeah, just chatting. I do have ADHD, so oh wait, so it's super low. I could actually do that. There we go. Get really up into the microphone. I wish I sounded like Sean Connery right now. But I don't, and that was absolutely terrible, so probably for the best, right? So I just bring this down, bring it up a little bit. There we go. So it's pointing towards my nostrils. Fun fact, a microphone, most people, you face it at the mouth. Does that sound horrible? No. I did see an ASMR stream a few weeks ago that popped up, and it was just inspired me for like sound design. It was like this woman put like I can't remember. It must have been like cling film or something like that over the microphone, and then just put loads of like shaving cream, and she just left it there. And she was doing this with her nails, and she had long, crinkly nails and whatever. But I tell you what, the sound was really cool. I was like, that's a piece in itself. No wonder people like that. I find it a bit creepy most of the time, most of the things they do. But yeah, what? Yeah, so funny you should bring that up, because actually, I was actually talking to Sam. Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that before you all rudely interrupted me. How dare you? I'm joking. I love you. Yeah, so we're going to be doing this track and having a little bit of fun with that. And then we'll move on to a special guest coming. Yes, that's what I was going to say. So we'll see if Sam is going to turn up, where hopefully we'll be able just to ask him any questions that you have, any questions that I have as well. I'm very, very new to the topic that I want to talk about, which I've already told you. If you're from the Discord, which you two are, then you'll know this, won't you? You will know this, because it's just what happens. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about library music, which is awesome, and it's something I've been writing an awful lot of. Probably not half as much as Sam, but it's a lot for me. Like I think in a month I did 11. We'll call it 11 because it was 2 half tracks as well. 11 tracks, all finished, all sent off. Not all accepted, because I'd done them through Sam. So so he accepted them. Yeah, and I'll take that. I will take that. But he did say that they would have been accepted anyway, and this is a way in. So we're going to be talking about different paths into the industry, why maybe I chose to use another composer to go through. I've got this little tag here that's really annoying me. It says sound ID from it, because these headphones, I didn't even know this tag was on here. But yeah, it's annoying me, so I'm going to take this off. I'll take it off later. So I was I decided to go down this route of working through a composer, because one, it helps, it just helps you get a foot in with some libraries. Secondly, I'm a very slow mover in terms of my comfort level. And I think that's a really important thing in terms of just who we are as people. We just need to, we need to just move on as much as we can in our own time and in our own pace. And I know for sure that that Sam did that as well. Sam just moves a little bit quicker than I do, really, on things. And generally, I'm multitasking a lot more things, though, to be honest. So the swings and roundabouts, we're all the same, aren't we? We all find our coping mechanisms and the things that we enjoy. Like I love streaming. I love honouring you guys with content and whatnot, as well as composition, because community is the first thing that I have a passion for. It's like joint first, really, with music. It's always like, I want to do music. I want to talk to people. I'm so lonely. So we'll talk about some stuff like that. And then maybe we'll talk about, how you approach a library piece. I know, Fred, you've got a little bit of experience with this now, haven't you, in terms of at least working with one library, and you've found a few others maybe that I think that you mentioned that you might be working with. So in that sense, it's great. This will be building on top of hopefully stuff that you maybe have found out, maybe you didn't know. But yeah, we'll just find out, and there'll be things that I either don't know or I'm not as familiar with that Sam is very familiar with, because Sam's background is he works with Six Trailer Music, so he's kind of like an admin. He's like the musical director, admin kind of guy. Does a bit everything on that side of things, so he gets in touch with people. Very, very social job. It's trailer music's really, really difficult as well. I don't think they're accepting at the moment from out of house. It's very, very difficult stuff to compose for, so they just get a lot of stuff that isn't up to standard, and at that level you generally need to be at a certain caliber. So it's something to work up to, and there are other trailer companies as well who will take, I wouldn't say not as polished work, but just work that could sound a little bit better with additional help, and they send it off to a mixing engineer as well as a mastering engineer. So there are some that do that as well. And the majority, they want it up to a high standard. But so most of the time, what people do is they start at library music, and they build their way up the tiers. Start from not from the bottom really, because I don't want to say go to some of those ones who take your money. But above that, like television libraries, and then generally you're just moving up kind of thing, and you might end up at Universal, for instance, and from there ghostwriter, and then you're at the top of the industry kind of thing. It's especially at library music, that's kind of very top of the industry, probably mid-range of the industry in terms of library stuff. I could be completely wrong there. It just seems like that. But I think that actually working for any of them is amazing, and I personally love it. So yeah, let's move on to just listening to the track, because I always forget what it sounds like. I'm sure you kind of forget. At this point, you probably know it better than I do. Right, let's fly over here, and we'll find the. Okay, that's definitely coming out louder now. At least in OBS. Is that right? Guys, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. These things. Like I had no idea. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. So is that any better? Now high. Now it's too high. Oh no. This may be because put it down to 50 now. Okay, let's just see how that is, just the last bit. Okay, I think that should be adequate for our purposes. Is that okay? Too high, too low, little high, little low, little hey, little ho. Anybody who can tell me what film that is? Well, obviously has too much time on their hands when watching films. Okay, so let's just open this vital preset that we've kind of set up. Well, we've just opened. All right, so lovely. We're gonna make a plucky sound. Perfect. Amazing. Right. Love it. We will now turn the filter on. Near enough. Exactly right. I'm going to turn the voices up to like 4. Excellent. Okay, so that's oscillator 1 done. Let's have a look at the factory harmonic series. Let's have a little looky at that. So that's going to filter 2, but we'll turn it up, and we will. Ooh, is that the fine transpose? I'm guessing 12 is semi. Nice fat sound. Okay, we'll put this octave note on here. There we go, that's nice. So that's essentially blending in another tone above. And we've got oscillator 3, but I don't really want oscillator 3. I'll get too jumbled. So we're going to put a compressor on. Down with compression. Okay, cool. We'll put some chorus on there. And we'll put that after the compressor. See how much difference that makes? Nothing at all. No, I'm joking. It does. Makes a little bit of difference. Well plucky. Okay. Right, so that's cool. Do we want some reverb? The reverb in this is actually really nice. Cool. Got enough stuff in that we could even add. Where's the mix of that delay? That's cool. over a stereo delay. That's cool. I like it. So then the low end is in the middle. Come and see. Okay, let's. Don't like it. Let's just copy that one. Okay. Bass synth. Now that we've got that part, we are going to effect it with some plugins. I'm going to use a free plugin called Remix Effect. And we are going to go on to read on here and change that to touch. Okay, as it's playing, fab. Okay, and then we'll do the same with this one as well. Okay. We'll open the automation now just to tweak. Like I said before, opening up all of these at the same time. So that's all the automation that I've just done. It's really good if you use touch, then change it back to read. See, that should be at the start here. Ooh. We'll change this, which is the cutoff. So for me that sounds great. I want this in octaves. Cool, that's already sounding awesome. We'll change this serum to, oh wow, hold on, wait, it's working. Okay, well, I'm not gonna stop. I have no idea why it was like that. Okay, so in that case, let's just go for a random pad sound. Who knows? Who knows what this will sound like? Cool. We'll put A and B through it. Gonna add a little bit of a tail in. Maybe a tail out. Perfect. I'm going to add an LFO to the wavetable, and we're going to put this to FM from A. So that means that this is being affected by oscillator A. Oscillator B is being affected by oscillator A. We turn that up. Just to add movement, that's all it's doing. We'll do the same here. We go from FM from B, so that means oscillator A is being affected by oscillator B. Essentially, it's going to add saturation and distortion and harmonics and stuff. I don't like that. I want to do some asymmetry. That's cool, and I'm going to stick that on there. That's cool. I like it. It's like a flangery effect. Okay, I'm going to go to effects. We're going to add a filter again, wherever that is. We'll put that on number 1. Okay, and we want this to be high 12. I just want to get all of that low end out of the way, because then that's going to save me time in mixing. So that's my thought process. So for hyperdimension, that's just essentially add a little bit of width to it, add some distortion, and I want it to sound a little bit weird and horrible, to be honest. So we are going to go to the downsampler. And they've been really good with this, and they've said that I can add a filter on after it, and I want a filter to filter out the high end. So I want it post. I want it post because I want it to work after the distortion, not before it. And then maybe just bring in my mix. I like it. I really like that. Okay, I'm going to add some compression, multiband. Cool, like that multiband compressor just completely changes it, doesn't it? That's it without it. That's cool. So I took out the high end that I didn't like and I added it in with the multiband compressor, the stuff I did like. Just because I know that this is, I think it's OTT. I think that's, this is originally where it came from, and then they made an original plugin. So add some chorus. Maybe not that much. Tiny bit of flange. Gonna add some delay, and we're gonna add some ping ponginess to it. just going to we'll stick it on eighth notes and quarter notes. Going to link the BPM. Bring up the mix. There we go. Add the verb in. I like the plate sound. But I know Sam likes the not so plate sound. So we'll see. We'll just add loads of it. Okay, and finally EQ. Take some of that top end out again. See that sub stuff as well, if I pull that up. I don't want that. It's that big node there. If I pull it up, don't want that. Pull it down. Okay. And we're going to find something that already has chords on it. So we'll take this, have a little look, reuse, 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 if you can. Sounds nice. That mid-range out actually. That sounds a bit crap because we've got the sustain on it. Don't need that. Yeah, and we'll have that in octaves. Okay, in the mix. I like it. We're just going to add this fuzz thing to it though. more, shall we? And we'll call this ARP 1. We'll use these all the way through. Okay, so we're gonna create this. In fact, let's go to something I know that works. FM Freak. Cool. Like it. We'll go to Spectral. Monster 4 is nice. Okay. Filter, don't want to take too much out. Cool. Just distort the crud out of it. Oh, tape. Sounds nice, actually. I've never used the tape. I think that's, I don't know if it's new, but we will use the diode one. That's pretty atrocious. So. Okay, like that. I'll just put a little bit of reverb on it. It sounds quite nice on its own, to be honest. Cool. Okay, and in Serum you can hold Shift, and you can actually pull in different things manually, like that, and then assign them to a level. So if I just put that on both of these, it should sound quite nice. And then we need to trigger it. Like that sound. Maybe even a 16th note. Like it. Okay. So making something really fast like that just opens everything up. Okay, so Sam has messaged me. Should be done soon. Great. We are waiting for you. There we go. Okay, so let's stick an arpeggiator on inside Logic, because I've recently started liking doing this. And we will grid it ourselves. Why not? You know what? Cool, and we'll take some high end off that again, because there's a lot of information there. And add some reverb. Okay, and oh, I can't remember. We'll just we'll take the yeah, we'll take this horn part. Just duplicate that. Stick that there. I think that goes to G, so we'll... Okay. And we can turn it down then, can't we? It's just wanting to really want, you know, to come alive there, isn't it? So if we just grab a cymbal, what it wants. Totally hear, just for that last little bit here, totally hear just like a horn part. Really nice horn part and a snare part too. Let's not forget about the snare. Let's go down to the Armageddon stuff. No, the damage stuff. Drums. I don't know. Where can we go? Let's have a look at... Let's just duplicate that and then just we'll add plastics. I'll put snare in there. Change the region name. Something I don't do often enough actually, and I always get really confused because I look at these all the time. So we'll open up this contact instance, see if they have any snarey things, which they should do. Organic. Maybe in there. Toms. Head toms. Solo snares. See what this sounds like with head That sounds great. Just try and get these round robins going, because I know that they split up into two. Cool, like it. Let's bring that up a little. Just a few of these are just a little bit too quiet, not consistent enough, especially seeing as da da da. Okay. There we go. That's probably cool. Oh no. Ah no. Mouse battery is empty. I'm gonna have to do this. Come up with the next theme. That's what we'll do. That's what we'll do whilst we're waiting. 10 minutes. So we got this okay. Let's take a little listen. Surely we can get a little bit of thing just to listen to it from the beginning. Some ideas. Ooh. Two. It's getting there. Okay, that's the theme. I like it. So let's move towards the end here on the piano. Piano and keys. Let's load them up. Let's save. Let's go into the soft piano. What did I even play? Yeah. Let's go from there. Okay. Okay, we're just changing modes. Just get that in there. I'll work out the chords for that in a bit. Okay. Okay. Bit late. We'll get there. Yeah, this needs to be a bit quicker, doesn't it? in there. Okay. That's the A. Yeah. Ta-da! Bum bum. Bum bum. There we go. That was it. Okay. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Just put the bass notes in. Oh, I don't know what's going to go there though. Yeah. Could be F. Try that. I think that here, if I split it here, that's what I'll do. I will split it and then we will hopefully get a few things from there. Okay. Ooh. This should and we can maybe get that. So that's the next theme that's going to be coming. So yeah, we'll see that there. Let's just check the stream stuff. I have no idea if it's going to work, but we'll see if Sam will be here soon, I think. Right, okay. Just take a listen to see where we want to go. I'm thinking that actually, if we repeat whatever, just that bit here, but in the woodwinds, it might be really, really cool. And essentially just double up on things. So A3, oboes A3, and then flute and piccolo. We'll just open all of these. Maybe if we just have the flutes and everything off by a beat or something like that, you know. Well, I guess, yeah. What is that? Semiquaver? Yeah. But on this instrument. Thankfully, from everyone else's streams who I check out, they do stuff like this all the time too, so it's yeah. And then these stops, we'll keep them in there as well. And what we'll do is pull these in octaves. Or will we? Yes, we will. Pull that down there, though. I'm going to open these up, though, because I'm not entirely sure. I think these are staccatissimo's, but I'm not sure if all of them are. I hope they are. Clarinets haven't put yet, but they are on staccatissimo's, and so are they. Oh, good. That makes me feel a little bit better. Right, so got these in. Oh, we're very quiet. I'm gonna actually this one's the clarinets. It's too low for a clarinet, I hear you say. It is. Well, kind of is. By like, no, it's half, and half. There we go. But I can definitely barely hear that, so looks like I'm gonna have to. Ah, do we have a Sam?
Okay.
Okay, right.
Oh.
So I think I'm coming through now and you're coming through. I think I actually did it. Fred?
It's working.
Can you hear? Can you guys hear? I genuinely, I don't even know if anybody's. Yeah, there are 2 viewers. So that's cool.
I think. Well, I think that might be me and you, mate. I'm watching, and you're watching.
Well, it might just be 1 viewer then. Might just be Fred. Yeah, I don't class as a viewer.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's saying right now that we're both coming through.
Okay, well, hopefully it works.
Yeah. So we'll soon find out, won't we? Because it might take a little while for these guys because they've been waiting for like 20 minutes, haven't they? Whilst we sorted all of the madness out. But that's absolutely fine. That is fine. Okay, let's make this full screen so they can see you completely.
I might have to turn my thing off, so I'm not looking at myself.
Okay. What we'll do then is we'll just start essentially. So yeah, I thought that basically what we could do was just chat about library music essentially, and ask you your views on what you think a good way of starting off would be, for somebody wanting to get into the library business. Everything from what type of music you'd expect or you would suggest to write, if that's a thing, and what libraries you think were quite good choices to go for, or what types of libraries, because I don't want to solo any libraries out or whatnot. So
Sure.
what styles of libraries, especially for the orchestral kind of guy who is starting off. Obviously, we want to maybe start off with orchestral music if that's our passion and whatnot, but then move off to bigger and broader things as we grow as musicians. Yeah, does that make sense?
That does make sense. So to answer the first one about your first question about how to get into it and your first steps, my first step would be do a bit of research about what's being used, watch what shows that you want to get your music on, and then see what sort of music are they using, and see, does your music sound like that? If it's yes, then you're already on the right track. If it's no, then there's obviously work to do. But then also on that vein as well, coming up from the other direction is what kind of music do you like writing, and what kind of music do you excel at writing as well, and then play to your strengths. Look for TV music and TV libraries that also have similar sounding, whether if you write like say orchestral music, it's no good approaching a library who predominantly do hip-hop music to go, can you publish my music? And this is something that I've seen a lot by a lot of beginners. I co-run a trailer music label, and we get people who submit like country music to us, and we have no use for that, so we just don't even answer the email. Like it gets like you've got to make sure you do your research and not just carpet bomb libraries with submissions, but actually figure out exactly what you want to write and what you can write, where you foresee it being used eventually, and then do a bit of research, watch the shows, and look at the end credits. Some of the time it says, not all the time, but some of the time it does say like the label names of the publishers that they use for the show in the ending credits. A lot of the time it just flies by really quickly, so it's a good idea to pay really close attention, maybe even record some of these shows and like slow them down, freeze frame things. Okay, that's that then, and then that's that company. Then just Google the company, see if they've got a website, see if they've got a submissions form. If not, then LinkedIn the company, see if they've got like a music supervisor or a music coordinator who might be interested in hearing your demos. And what I would say is listen to the music on the label. If your music feels like it's of the similar sort of level or better, definitely reach out. And I would reach out to them and say, like, a short, brief introduction about yourself, like 2 sentences. It doesn't need to be anything extensive. Like, hi, I'm a composer from X. I write this kind of music. then send them a couple of tracks, 3 tracks of the sort of style that you want to write. If you've got any credits, list them. If you don't have any credits yet, that's not a problem. It gets easier the more credits you get, but just like let the music speak for itself. If the music's good, they don't care if you're just starting out or if you're a seasoned professional doing it 30 years or something. So if you then reach out to them with this link and say, hi, my name is so and so, I come from this country, I'd like to write for your music, I'd like to write for your label, this is the kind of music I write, here's 3 tracks, say a Dropbox link or a SoundCloud link or something like that. I foresee these being used on XYZ, name a couple of shows that you think it would work well with. Or so that's if it's in show, or maybe it's used for ads. If you're thinking this could be really useful for a perfume commercial or something like that, say that. The more you give them, the more they can work with, and then hopefully they get back to you. And you're going to receive a lot of rejections, especially when you first start out, because you haven't made a name for yourself yet. No, they it's like anything. Once you've got a bit of grounding, then people sort of go, oh, okay, I can see you're already successful, we'll take a chance on you. But that first one takes a bit of getting in, but when it does come in, then maybe jump on a video call or a phone call with the producer from the label. If possible, meet them in person. Obviously, we're a global society now, you can work from anywhere in the world. So if the company is based in the UK and you're based in Romania or something, then that's not always possible. But just a video call, phone call, get that human connection, and then like ask them what they're looking for, say what your interests are, what you want to do. Say, have you got any briefs? Maybe write 1 track for them, maybe write 2 tracks for them, maybe say, I've got an album of tracks, would you like to hear them? I mean, like the easiest thing would be just to say, give as much options and then see what comes back at you. So the only other thing that I feel like I've missed out here in terms of how to how to reach out to labels is also to get involved with the library music community. Get to know other library music composers, and start collaborating with them, and getting into labels that way. That's always a safer bet, actually, because you tend to find you get more chances to actually go in. And obviously you don't want to be too cheeky and just go hit someone up with, hey, do you want to collaborate? Like the first thing you ever say. Obviously not. But also you don't want to come across as fake, as if you're only getting to know these people because you want to collaborate with them. You want to just get to know them, become friends with them. And these opportunities just arise. People like working with their friends. So if you get to know people, go to events, and just start reaching out to people. Then after a bit of time, maybe wish them happy birthday on Facebook or whatever, and send them a meme now and then. It doesn't need to be anything there, just something there to get a genuine connection, and then start writing music together. Either write the start of a track and then finish it, especially if they are more seasoned than you. I would start that way, because whoever finishes the track will have the session with the label, then asks for stems, and they're gonna, like, if you're a complete beginner, you might not understand exactly how to stem, or what is exactly is expected in terms of stems, whether they're mastered, unmastered, all that. It's easier to offload that to the collaborator the first time, and then look at what's happened, and kind of pick your way through it. And especially if you're working with someone else, it's always a bit of a stopgap. You can always ask them, like, hey, is this okay if I do this? Once you're in there, once you've got a couple of tracks with that label that you're collaborating with someone on, do the same as the first method. Just reach out to the person who sent your contracts over. As long as you let your collaborator know, you don't let your collaborator know, hey, is it okay if I just reach out to these directly? If they say yeah, go ahead. And I would I had a train of thought. I would then reach out to them, jump on a phone call, video call, meet them if possible. Obviously, again, not always possible, but I mean, in terms of my library experience, I've met 3 publishers in person, which is probably 20% or maybe slightly under that of how many publishers I work with. So I haven't, and some of them are based in America, some are based in other parts of Europe, some are based in Australia. So obviously I can't go and meet them very easily. But the UK ones I've met, and I've met one in America. And then also meet other ones, even if you don't end up working with them. Just go to events like and see if you can meet them. It's always good because you get different perspectives on it. Obviously, what I'm saying here is only my experience of it, and what worked for me might not work for someone else, but someone else may have a different way. And having experienced and heard the stories from a lot of other people, like it doesn't seem there's one way into it. It's very much a you make your own journey on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think one thing that you've really really quite made clear, and it's been my experience as well, is that in the music, just in the music scene, music community, it's very friends focused. You know, it's very much like you look after your own kind of thing, you know, and from a perspective, you know, from my perspective as well, is that the most I've got out of it is not from just messaging people after an ad, you know, on Facebook or whatever, or it's been like, hey, what do you do? Oh, that's really cool. You know, just a short message, and then they go, oh, what do you do? And you go, oh, fantastic. And then you leave it 3 months, maybe comment on 1 or 2 things that they do, because, you know, and it's not, you're not doing it in terms of, oh, I know in 6 months that an opportunity is going to come from this. That's generally just not what you do, is it?
No.
So, you know, just getting in touch with people just to be friends is amazing, and that stretches from, you know, across all of the creative arts, I think.
Absolutely.
I was on a call with an amazing guy, a game developer, which I think I've mentioned to you, but not many other people, I guess. And I had this chat with him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, so you know, like let's talk business," and I was like, "No," I was like, "No, I literally, I said, I phoned you up, basically just to have a chat, see how you are, see who you are, you know." I was like, you know, show him who I am, show him how passionate I am about what I do, you know, if he's interested. But majority of the time, I was just there, just like, talk. What are you passionate about? You know, like,
absolutely, yeah.
And like, he appreciated that more, because then it was as if, you know, and it's just, this is just people in general, they appreciate it more because you relax, suddenly go, oh, they're not just after something.
Exactly,
you know? Yeah.
Exactly.
And that actually in turn creates more jobs than if you were to go out headhunting, you know. So
yeah, like I always hate the term networking, because it makes it sound like that's what you're doing, but in fact you're just going out meeting a bunch of really cool people, or virtually meeting them, and then there might be all walks of life. There might be creative composers, there might be artwork designers, there might be anyone, but like you tend to find they're always really interesting to talk to, and calling it networking feels very dry and businessy, I guess, which is not great. I think it comes across as cold, but I feel like doing it from a place of, well, I don't care if I actually get anything monetarily from this interaction. What I care about is like I make a good connection here, like I know someone through this. And
Definitely.
like I've had opportunities that have arrived 2 years after meeting someone, and nothing's come for that 2 years, and then all of a sudden just, oh hey, I'm in a pinch, I need this, would you be interested in doing this? Absolutely, yeah. And it becomes more organic as a way of doing it. It's very much a word of mouth thing, which I think is from the outside looking in, feels like a quite a scary thing to be, because it's like a you got to go and get to know people sort of thing. But I think it is that proactiveness of getting to know people that really stands it apart almost.
Yeah, definitely. And like I think it sounds like I'm very aware that, like, you know, it could sound like a quite a high and mighty thing that we don't do this, you know, and like, oh, why would composers do this or whatever. But actually what we're saying is we were there as well when we first started, and we were first, you know, quote unquote networking. You know, it was very much like that's what we did. And then over time we realized, oh, it's just about being mates with people.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think everyone has that. I mean, even like the absolute people at the top of the game were beginners once. Everyone's been a beginner once. They didn't start off one day and all of a sudden just hit the top. They've all gone through the same thing. Like I think I saw a post on Instagram which was like of screenshots of like famous sort of EDM and DJ producers from like the dance music scene, like saying like, oh, thank you for like the 100 subscribers on YouTube or something like that. And it shows that they were small fish once, and now they're at the top. And everyone started out at that point of being like, I don't know how to get into this. Should I just try things? And a lot of things don't work. Like I definitely did try the reach out to people with the first message, being like, hey, I'm a composer, this is my CV basically, and fairly quickly realized that just wasn't going to cut it as a way. Plus it doesn't come across genuine, and also you don't you don't make any genuine connections that way. Like we always sort of hear as composers about like the composers who have been bought with a director who brings the composers along. So like John Williams with Steven Spielberg, and a lot of that's just one example. But you don't get that from just being like, hey, I'm a composer, I write this kind of music. You get that from like being genuinely a good friend with someone, and that's a thing that's definitely happened with me and you, Jeff. Like we've been good friends since university, and we've worked together since, mainly because of that, mainly because of being friends.
Just mates, yeah. And that's I posted I'll send it to you actually, a blog last week actually on how to make it was a silly thing really, but it was how to make money from music, and it was basically just focusing it. All of it is just talking about making friends. That's it, you know, just networking, as you say in your quote unquotes, but then just being mates with people, and just like and the emphasis is just there about, you know, not emphasizing the work, because that is it, isn't it, you know, and whatnot. And because I think like the interesting thing is in life in general, and like let's just like look at music. So you know, you are one of 100,000 people a week probably who send music to a library. Let's just say that. Maybe not that much, but you know, maybe a year, definitely a year.
Oh yeah, definitely. Probably.
But you know, let's like over exaggerate it just for giggles,
just for the sake of it.
Yeah. So you know, you're in that position. and then somebody comes along and they know the people in the library, they're good friends of the library, they talk to the people in the library all the time, nothing to do with music, and then they come along with a piece of music. Who's the library going to spend more time?
Yeah,
With?
it's
It's a
I
no-brainer,
think
isn't it?
it is. I think obviously then there is the caveat of the music speaks first. Like then you can say you're going to work with your mates all along. However, obviously if the music's not great, there's nothing you can do with it. So I think when it comes to it with library music, it is the first thing
Definitely.
before you go through any of this. What we've just talked about is making sure you put in the time and you put in the work of doing a track, and it might not be very good to start with, and it definitely won't be very good to start with. Like I think back to when I first started working on like not even on production music, but just learning how to use like Logic and all that, and I look back at the
Back
pieces I
in
made
uni
then.
days, eh?
Yeah, exactly, and they're super embarrassing to listen to, and they will never see the light of day other than on my hard drive somewhere. um However, they like it takes
It does.
just
You have to go
putting
through it.
stuff there that's going to be rubbish the first time. It's going to be rubbish the 100th time. But by the time you reach the 500th time, you're like, okay, I know what I'm doing here. It's like anything. You learn to drive when you start learning.
Yeah.
You can't drive at all, and over time, you just these things that you start thinking about really heavily become just
It,
second nature.
it's interesting though that you say so you're talking about, like you said that those tracks would never see the light of day now,
Mm-hmm.
but 5 years ago you were sending those to people.
Well, that's true
Yeah,
actually. Well,
that's
not
very
maybe not
true. So
maybe
now,
not 5 years
now
ago,
we
but
might be a little
4 years
bit,
ago.
a bit self-conscious and maybe even embarrassed in some of the cases. Definitely for me, but like I think it's one of those things, isn't it? That like at first, absolutely send your stuff to as many people who are just interested in just listening to your
Oh
music
yes,
as possible, not to get it onto a library or stuff maybe at
no,
first, but just for sharing music,
that's
thing.
true. That's a
And
very
just
good
say,
point.
like how many days, I think probably out of the 5 or 6 years that we've been out of uni, we have pretty much sent a track to each other probably nearly
And
every other day.
it's a
And
lot. It's a
it's
lot
a
of them.
lot. Yeah, it's a lot. And like, have we ever, like, and I know you do this with other people, probably I do this with other people as well, but we've both never turned around and said, hey, can I get something for this?
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's
I
just
think it's
it's a hey, are you interested in this? And then like there'll be times when you go, oh yeah, this is really good, this is perfect, Jeff. Or then you'll turn around and on another day and go, oh yeah, but here's some thoughts that I had.
exactly. I
I
also
would,
think
yeah,
sharing has its benefits of you can get quite in your head about things, so you can go, okay, this is perfect track, send it to someone, or just play it to someone when they're in the room with you, maybe like a roommate, a parent, whatever, and you hear all of a sudden you go, oh wait, well that bit's not quite finished yet, I'm gonna fix that,
yeah,
that's not right, and you hear the imperfections in it by
yeah,
playing it to someone else, that when it's on your own you're like, oh yeah, this really is great. And as soon as you send it to someone
yeah,
else, you physically actually hear, you're like, actually, I'm not so proud of that anymore. I want to make sure it's better.
yeah, definitely, yeah. So yeah, basically to sum that up, what really what you should be doing is, like it's not just about being really good at music or being really good at networking. You
No, no,
have you have, and then coming back to that, you got to have both of them. But let's for the example that I gave earlier of this season, we'll call him a seasoned musician. He's coming in with all of these other seasoned musicians, but the one thing he's got is he's been a mate to the fella. All
that
the other
makes a big
people
difference.
have
Yeah,
just tried to get in there, and it doesn't necessarily mean that all those other people aren't going to get placements and stuff and they're not going to try. But what it does mean is that they listen to their music, there's a connection there. They associate that with a good thing, that they're a person who they're passionate about and whatnot. And then they put a little bit more effort in subconsciously. It's not necessarily that the person's thinking, oh, I'm just going to go and help me mate. It's not
No,
that. It's all, is it? It's just
I 100% agree with you on that. It's a thing that stands you apart from the crowd. It's just something that, and I think it's definitely not just be friends with them, because you might be talentless and just be friends with them. But then
exactly.
also, it's not also, you can write the best, you could be the best composer in the world. But if you don't put in the networking time, put in the getting to know people, it's going to sit there on your hard drive and not, or even just send that email. Like, cold emails are not a bad thing. You can send 1,000 cold emails very quickly, and obviously I wouldn't say it's the most successful method, but it will create some success in one. But the one thing I would mention is rejection is okay. Rejection is a massive part of it, and failure. Like, you will write a track that you're super proud of. Okay, I think sorry, ignore that. What was I going to say?
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have a track that you were super proud of, and sorry, so that again. You have a track that you're super proud of, and then some library will shoot it down and say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, or just won't get back to you, and you'll get rejection after rejection after rejection after rejection, and slowly over time your music will get slightly better and better and better. But also, even when you're really good, you're still going to get rejections. Like, even when you've been doing it, you've got, I don't know, 2,000 tracks out there. Obviously that's the real pros who've been doing it 20 years or something, but even they will get rejections. They will have tracks that get sent back. Oh, this isn't right for us, this isn't right for this brief. And what I would say is, there's a quote that I live by a little bit, which is, the successful person has failed more than the unsuccessful person has even tried. So, because you try, you fail, you try, you fail, you try, you fail, you try, you fail, you try, you succeed. Like, there's going to be a lot of failure, but I think the thing that differentiates the professionals from the what's the word I'm looking for, from the like hobbyists so much more, is how much dedication and how much resilience, and not to just try for like a year and then give in. Like, it could take a year, it could take a decade to get to I've heard of people who didn't have a placement for a decade and now are successful. I mean, obviously that's not ideal, but like, that's why it's best to start out with it as a side gig. And like, I don't think I know of anyone who started library music without having some other gig. I know I worked in bars, I worked in a shop. Then I was lucky enough to get the position within a library, which helped me learn from the inside, I guess. Learn the industry from, and see what the labels are looking for, and see the submissions, be able to read composers' submissions and see be able to differentiate, this is a good submission email, this isn't a very good submission email, being able to sort of see that before it even started realistically, like, sending my music off to other people, other libraries. It was probably a year of that before I even, maybe not quite 9 months of that before I actually got accepted onto a label. And it was probably 6 months before I even sent anything out. Just learning the industry, learning sort of seeing composers' websites, and okay, this works, this doesn't work. Okay, as a music supervisor, I go to the website. It's not realistically what I go to a lot of the time. Most of the time, I just go to directly to the links they send me and don't even check out the website. But sometimes you'll check out the website just to see, okay, what else do they do? Do they have any credits? Have they got, like, do they have any other things? Is this the style they specialize in, or do they do all sorts of styles? Or and seeing just that helped a hell of a lot in terms of learning what's good and what isn't and what works, I guess. And most of the time the website is not really a big thing. I've got a website, but it doesn't really draw in that much work. I just have it more there as a vanity thing. Realistically, it's there as a I mean, it sounds funny, but it's kind of true. It's kind of there as like,
It's a reminder.
it's very rare that you're going to set, like, as a composer, as different jobs in the industry, you will send out CVs if you want to become like a cool music coordinator or a music supervisor, then you'll send out CVs. But to get a composing gig, you're never going to send out a CV, or I'll change that to very, very rarely send out a CV. So a website is the equivalent of a CV. It's where you put your credits. It's where you put examples of your music if you want to. It's where you put all sorts. It's your shop window, basically. You don't have to have one, but it helps. Even if it doesn't directly help, it can draw someone in to go and check you out a bit more, and then actually reach out via email rather than like via the website contact form or whatever.
Yeah, and to go back on what you did a really good quote then, and just saying, that the more you see, the person who's failed has failed more than the person who's even tried once. That's the original quote, isn't it? And it just reminded me of an interview that what's his name did, scientist,
Einstein.
No.
Stephen Hawking.
No. It's gonna let's look. Edison, I think. Yeah,
oh, right.
Yeah. I was just looking up the quote because it's Edison. So invented the light bulb. So he had a quote. There is a quote of him talking to, I think it was like a local news guy or something, and they said, "Okay, so how do you feel about, like failing 99 times, creating this light bulb?" And he turned around and said, "I didn't fail 99 times. I found 99 ways how not to make a light bulb."
I think I've heard that before. I hadn't remembered it, but now that you've said it, it rings a bell. But I agree with that.
It's such a great way of thinking of things, because something that I teach. Teach a lot of my students, who I've over the years, is that when you are approaching music and you're learning, the worst thing, in my opinion at least, to do is to dwell on a track.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you find yourself going over and over and over the same track, then something is wrong there. Not just in the track, but in your mentality of how you're approaching your music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's either, especially in our industry, it's either you're slightly too personal to the music that you're writing, like in that moment, especially if you want to sell it, because that, to me, that you're just going to get hurt, aren't you? If you're clinging on that much, which isn't a terrible thing, as if it's just for you and you're personally bringing it out there because it's a passion of yours. But as soon as you want to make money out of it, suddenly it does matter about what you think, but it matters more about what the person who you're sending it to thinks, because they will be the publisher. They will be the person who sends it off, to whoever, to be published, and all of the places in between that. So like, just moving on from, like, obviously we've spoken a lot about like the attitude towards library music and whatnot, but just in terms of writing now as well, it's so much more beneficial, isn't it, when you write a track, and then you might reach a wall. You might say, I have no idea where to go with this. And
Mhm.
that is the point where I would say that is the law of diminishing returns kind of starts. You start pushing it past there, you're going to put a lot more time in
For
without
less result.
for less results and for less learning as well. You're probably going to do more harm at that point to the track than you would if you were to move on, take the things that you learn and implement them into another track. And
Yes.
I remember when I was first messaging you about trailer music. I was in this 6x4 room with flipping 8-inch speakers with a huge sub, and the walls would always be like rumbling because I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And I knew better, but I didn't have the space or facilities
Just didn't
to
have a face. I
change it.
mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
and there's just sometimes circumstance as well means that you just got to
of
wait,
course,
haven't you?
it makes a difference.
It does make a difference. Yeah, so and in that position, I remember I got in touch with you, and you sent through 4 or 5 different tracks or something. Like, oh, listen to these, Jeff. This will get you going, kind of thing, and whatnot. And I remember the first thing I did, I barely got the first track. I barely got through the intro.
Right.
I learned how to make from scratch essentially because I didn't have any. It's not like even 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It's not like it is now, like where we have infinite sound design possibilities from all these libraries that have just all of a sudden just come out of nowhere. So I, just like you
Mhm.
came from a place of writing your tracks and creating all of your sounds the same. You were the instigator of all of your sounds, especially in
Yeah.
the early days. And so like, even though I barely got through an introduction, that was probably about 30 sounds that I learned how to make.
Oh, absolutely.
You
I
know,
think
and that
I
can't
see
be
where you're going with
discredited.
it.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it can't be discredited. If you can only make an introduction of a track, be proud of that,
it's
and
better than no introduction at all.
well, yeah,
Exactly.
no, just not even that. It's just acknowledging that you've done a hell of a good thing. You've done
That's
something
true.
that hundreds and thousands of people, millions of people cannot do at all because you
That's
sat down
true.
and you've systematically gone through all the things that you knew you couldn't do, but then you've succeeded in. But then, as human beings, we quite easily just dwell on the negative. It's
Oh,
easier to
absolutely.
look like, oh, I didn't finish that. But when actually we should be saying, well, actually, all of that was what I learned, and that was actually my end point right now. That's where I'm at, and
Yes.
that is okay. And then you just say, okay, right, my goal next time is to do an introduction slightly better.
Yeah.
Or, add
Take the
maybe a
same thing
10th
and
to the next
improve
bit.
it, or maybe extend it a little bit, do a little bit the next section, or maybe like do it but in less time.
Yeah.
Like there's all sorts of ways
Yeah.
of thinking about it in terms of being a composer versus being an editor. And this is something I picked up from one of I can't remember his name, Think Space Education, his YouTube channel, and he was saying like
Guy Micklemore.
Guy Micklemore, yeah. He was saying it's so much easier to be an editor than it is a composer. So just write notes down. Don't care if they sound rubbish, and then edit them because it's so much easier to say what's wrong with it than it is to actually start. Like instead of scrap that and go, okay, I'm going to write a new one until it sounds perfect. Because when it's just a tiny sketch at the beginning, it's not going to sound perfect until you put in the extra effort to make it sound good. But like write an idea, it's going to be rubbish, change it until it's good. But
Definitely.
but also what you're saying about like get to a point where you're happy with it, but then don't dwell on it too much. So there might be problems with the track, but don't go, okay, that this track has got to be perfect before I move on to the next one. Just leave it there, close the project, don't look at it for a few months, just write another track, then another track, then another track. Like say you write one track a week like that. This is when you're first starting out, especially, you don't even have to finish any of them to start with, at least. Just look at it as a learning exercise. Okay,
Yeah.
in this track I've learned this, in this track I've learned this, in this track I've learned how to do that, then they're not wasted, one, because you're learning a lot from the process and learning more by doing these half tracks than doing one track and spending 6 months over it, which I know a lot of people end up doing, because you're like, no, I've got to make this great before I move on to the next one. Sometimes it's easier to just sort of say, okay, finish that, move on to the next one. You learn so much quicker, so much more by doing that. But also they're not wasted in terms of being unfinished tracks either, because if you keep the projects, then when you have done all this learning, and this might take 6 months, it might take 2 years, I don't know, it depends on exactly what you do, it might take however long. But also you can always come back to those projects, and you might not even want to. You might get to a point where what you were once proud of, you're not anymore, but you might find that's a really good idea. I've left it alone for 2 years now. I've got a brief that's come through that would be the perfect intro for. Well, that's knocked, I don't know, a couple of hours of my time off, because I don't actually have to write that bit. I just have to build on what I've already made. And
like what I do as well, because like I think, like, I don't know if you do this, you'll have to let me know, but instead of keeping project files, so anything that I like the sound of that I made or something, I bounce that sound out. That's in like a little folder of all my homemade sounds, and I do that with every project. Anything that sounds really cool, it's gonna be bounced out. It's gonna sit there until it's used again. You know, always. But also, like you know, like space as well. You know, it is very limited, isn't it? Because we work with huge files, and a lot of the time, composers don't have a lot of space to store things. So after a while, projects they just get either lost in the ether, or you know that, or they're deleted because there needs to be
make room for newer stuff.
So in that case, and it happens for me, I'm sure it happens with you as well, what I tend to do is I'll get rid of the project file, but before I get rid of the project file, I export the MIDI, because that is a tiny file, and that goes into it just goes into another tiny file that's stored somewhere else. And then if I need inspiration, I'll just open up all these MIDI things and just assign it to different places. But that's a good way of doing it. And then when, say I, for instance, I want to listen to this thing, I'll just get up my orchestral template, I'll open this MIDI file, it'll auto assign this whole track onto the orchestra, and then I'll just press play. I won't even care. I won't even care what it actually, if everything's there. And 9 times out of 10, that inspires me to write a track, because
that's a good point, because again, it's not, you're not writing from a blank slate, because there's nothing harder than staring at a blank canvas or a blank Logic screen or Cubase or whatever, and going, right, I need to make music. Okay, where do I start? That's the hardest thing. When people have started, they can be doing it for 8 hours straight, but that starting point is hardest. So what you're saying, I haven't actually done what you just said, but it's a really good idea, and I might actually start doing it, like as an inspiration. But then the other thing I was going to mention is I haven't deleted a project since 2019 at all. I've just bought new drives and stuck them like on a legacy drive. The reason is because when you start doing it professionally, and then, like, say it gets placed in a trailer or something, and then the editor comes back, this is before it's actually gone out into the world, the editor comes back and said, we like this, but we would like a new melody line on it. You don't have to write from scratch. You just go, okay, open this old project up, okay, delete the melody line, write a new one, save as a new version, trailer track from 2019, customization 2021. And then so not deleting old projects is really useful. I haven't deleted anything since I started doing this professionally, but I know exactly what you mean. Like, it's before
it's just
that,
for people who are starting out, and whatnot, and
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And you just by what you said then. It was only 2019 that when you started doing that, because everybody will start off, with not a lot of space, not a lot of resources, and then as time goes on, you add to it and you
You
save
add to
up,
it, yeah.
and what we're two peas in a pod really in that sense, because we've both been upgrading our systems recently.
That's
That
true.
hasn't come overnight. It's not that we're all loaded.
No, not at all.
It's not at all. Yeah, it's oh, we do this and we save and we save and we save and we save and we save, and then when it comes to the crunch, when we actually need to upgrade and whatnot, then that's when
you upgrade. Yeah,
that's when you upgrade. You don't do it before that, because you're just causing yourself debt.
yeah. Especially because every upgrade will come with issues and things. I mean, I've literally upgraded today. I had this computer today, and there's been a few little niggles that I've had to like iron out. So far, fingers crossed, like nothing's actually gone too bad. I've opened up a few projects and they've all just sort of played without any problem. But like there's always going to be issues that I may find, like by changing your system, because if you think about it, that's your home base, that's your solid ground. If you change that out, you're assuming that everything else is going to stay there while you take out the foundation and replace it with a different one.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened to me as well. Like thankfully I've had one big niggle, as you call it.
Niggle.
So I wrote 6 tracks. I put them all into a file, and then I transferred that file over to my hard drive. I thought, it's on my hard drive, it's all safe, it's great. Now, my old computer was that old that I decided that I wasn't going to copy everything, just copy the hard drive over to the new computer, because there'd be so many issues there that I'd still be left with. So I thought, right, fresh start. And it was definitely the right thing to do.
Oh, absolutely.
However, those 6 tracks are now corrupt because I had to reload all of my sample libraries, and on my old system I had about 15 or 16 different templates, one of which I used for string and piano, and that wasn't brought over to Logic. Thus,
I see. So it's all gone corrupted.
Yeah, so it does. You've got these niggles, haven't you? These things that happen, and we will grow, and the stuff that we get, will help us grow. Like the biggest thing that like I'm growing in at the moment is so modular synthesis. So I've got I've just bought, exactly like you, the Mini Brute 2, and I'm learning how to use it, because it's very, very different to using one in a DAW.
Absolutely,
absolutely. It just inspires you in a different way. Gets you out of the box, literally.
Because I've had my Mini Brute for, it's around about 8 months, 9 months now, something like that. I think I bought it early this year. Can't remember exactly when. I think it was March, maybe. So 7, 8 months. Not sure, but like I still learn new things every time I use it. Like I've used it in some tracks. I still don't use it all the time in tracks. I tend to use it when I'm using it. I will run it into Logic onto a fresh session with like a reverb on, and just experiment with it. I won't really care about what sounds I'm making. I just am there to make strange noises and make sounds. I'll have Logic recording the audio coming in all the way through, and I've got a little shortcut on my keyboard where if I click a button and it will create a marker. So if I hear something in this half an hour of recording, say I hear 3 points, I'm like, I need to remember that. While I'm recording, I click this button and it goes marker. So then when I click stop, I can just quickly cut to, okay, that section there, I remember there was some gold in that 3 minutes. So I'll listen to that 3 minutes. Oh, that was that gold. Cut it out. Save that down as a file. And then even with them, once it's saved in, I can add effects. I can change it. I can pitch it around. do whatever and treat it as like any other signal. I also had a thing when I first started. I wanted to create a project using just that, but then I realized, hang on, I wouldn't, if I downloaded like a new synth in my computer, say I'd not got Serum and I downloaded Serum, I wouldn't like try to create an entire project using just that one synth. So I started using it just as a tool, the same way I had to use any other tool. It's just a way of making sound. Like you wouldn't decide, I bought a new guitar, I need to use only this guitar for this entire project. So
Exactly.
it's just an element within. So I use it a lot, but I layer it with virtual instruments. I layer it with.
And some things you'll only use like once in a while, and that's that's okay, isn't it?
Exactly.
I've got a can't remember what they're called. Oh, so I've got a harp there. So I've got a Welsh harp. How often have I used it so far? I haven't used it yet. I know about 4 or 5 tracks I'm going to use it on.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it was a gift. It was Eleanor always buys me all these instruments like twice a year, one for my birthday and one for Christmas, and they're all supposed to be stupid. They're all supposed to be like it's like her life goal to find the stupidest thing for me to play.
I mean, that sounds like a really entertaining and brilliant
It's
way.
a really entertaining challenge because she always loses. She always. She bought me the first, not the first thing. One of the first things in uni she bought me was melodica. I've used that melodica more than even my guitar sometimes. And one day she was, I snuck it in my guitar case and went down to a jam session, and decided just to play melodica for the day.
Why not?
She was like, "Oh God, no."
It gets a bad rap, but it's quite a good instrument. I quite like the melodica.
I like the melodica. Yeah, I think it sounds awesome. But yeah, and the thing is as well, even if you're recording stuff, as you say, it can always be manipulated and made to sound better. It can.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You can do whatever you want to that sound. It's just about your creative imagination.
And I don't think it's similar to what we were talking about earlier about being precious about your sounds. Like you can be really precious about your tracks and go, well, okay, I need to do this. But sometimes it's being precious about the sound, like saying, I want just the pure signal. I don't want any EQ on it or anything. Yeah. And then you just go, well, wait a minute. It needs some changes to it to make it fit within the mix. So like I know like there's been obviously there's times when you can take that too far. What I would say, there's place for like auto-tune in music. I feel like it gets overly used in music sometimes, but there's definitely place for it. And I think it depends on the style. If you're writing a EDM pop track, auto-tune it, that's just what makes sense. If you're writing a piano and vocal authentic track that's meant to be really, unless the singer's well out and they can't sing, and or like, but if they really can sing, just get them to do another few takes and they won't need, and then splice the good takes together. You don't need to use the tools to fix it if it sounds authentic. But then also it depends on if it's a style that leans into that, then lean into it more, then use it more.
Yeah. Okay, just to finish off then, because obviously we said we're going to be half an hour and we're about 40 minutes now.
We always do.
But it was 20 minutes late, wasn't it? So it's fine. It's okay. Just to finish off. So I'm all about getting rid of barriers. I think especially with library music and whatnot, getting rid of as many barriers as you possibly can. And I think one of the biggest barriers these days is the pressure put on composers to buy new libraries. Libraries seem shiny, they seem new, they seem delightful and whatnot, and a lot of them are. They're lovely, and whatnot. But actually, what sounds better, Sam? A library or a real instrument?
A real instrument is
A
clear
real
that.
instrument, right? So would you say paying 80 quid for a microphone is more beneficial, like infinitely more beneficial than buying a new library?
I would agree with you on that. I think
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
a microphone that you can bring in. Uh, you can then, I mean, you can take anything from around your house and use it
yeah,
as an instrument.
yeah. I've
I,
got, yeah,
I
some of
also,
my favorite tracks have a toaster in it, so that's,
I mean, yeah,
great.
actually, same, yeah. Um, but what I was also going to say is, um, we're in a lucky age actually with what you were saying about there's a bit of a pressure to buy new libraries and things, but we are in a kind of lucky age that has only really came about in the last 5 years, I think, but even the last 3 years of there is so many high quality free libraries out there now that yes, you don't like you can make high quality music that will get used with just free music libraries and like a live performer maybe as well, but like to help them out sometimes. But if you look at like the Spitfire Labs or the um, piano book stuff, there's some really high quality stuff out there for
Yeah,
completely free. So
definitely.
and obviously as you grow and as you become more professional, you start making money off it, then you can decide it's worth investing. Okay, I want something more specific. I've got a string library that does the job, but I've got another one that if I spend a bit that can uh, make it easier to do the job. Um, but I wouldn't suggest that you need to get them in order to start. They're things to
Yeah,
sort of. It's a bit like as being a say you're a builder. You need to get the tools to start with, but you don't need to get the biggest like best tools that cost a fortune. You can use
no.
you're gonna have to spend a bit to get the tools a
Get
little
the
bit.
get
You need a
yeah, get the
computer, you
hand me
need
downs, and then build your way up from there.
exactly you're gonna need a computer, but you can most people have at least a
Yeah,
laptop these days. It doesn't need to be a really high quality one. Obviously you do eventually upgrade to that probably at some point, but you don't need to. Um
yeah,
at least to start while you're starting out. And then once you've got that foundation, then you can go, okay, here's my tool set. Okay, I'm going to upgrade the hammer this week. Um, now that I've made a bit of money, I'm going to invest it back into myself and my business.
but even that. So like I think this is where the analogy falls a little bit flat, but
Okay.
it's not essential, is it?
No, not at all.
That's yeah.
Not
Where
at
a
all.
hammer is pretty essential for a builder, but you know, um, if you just had, if you had a microphone and you had an audio interface and you had a DAW and a little tiny MIDI keyboard or whatever, and you had all these free libraries, like I think the thing about free libraries and paid libraries is exactly or it's getting to the point with that VSTs are at, whereas stock VSTs and paid VSTs, the only difference between them that I can actually audibly hear as well for the majority, except for some of the creative ones, so the sound design ones, is the fact that workflow.
Yeah.
So some of the paid ones, not all of them, but some of them will do the job in such a way that makes your life a little bit easier. And it's starting, especially with Piano Book, like you said, it's getting to a point now where so many people are making free libraries that are really good and industry standard sounding that
Absolutely.
it's that they just sound incredible. But the difference still is that those free libraries will do it in a very restrictive way because they're just made by you and me. And that's
Yeah.
what these paid libraries do the best, is that they give you a sound that is
More
you're
flexible.
able to it's flexible, you're able to shape it. It's just like the Spitfire stuff. They come with tons and tons of mic positions that 99% of people never ever use, but it's there if you want it. And at the end of the day, I think it's those mic positions and all those things, it's a vanity thing for musicians, because who else other than another musician is
You're gonna
going
know.
to is going to notice that you used an outrigger mic rather than a Decca-tree.
Yeah, I think I
They're
think
not,
actually
are they?
that is a mark of a pro versus an amateur. I think an amateur thinks that you need all the gear, and they're like, I want it mixed with these specific things, and I want this on it, and I want this on it, because I can hear if it's used on an Eve desk or something, even though okay, it's a snare drum buried in the mix that you're not going to hear that.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna hear okay, that brightens it up or whatever. You can hear the tonal difference, but like realistically, you're not going to care. Like nobody really cares whether it's mixed on Neve desks or on a on just in the box, or like again, those are all workflow things. And yes, they do have. There are some things like emulations of analog plugins and things which can be useful tools, but I would not ever call them essential. And like 99.9% of the people listening are not going to go, oh, well, you've got some analog tape saturation there going on there in just the piano, but I can't hear it in anything else, but just the piano I can hear.
Yeah.
Like,
And it goes on with VST and plugins and stuff as well. There's a whole like thing out there now, isn't there, where like, you know, to be industry standard, oh, this is what I use and this is what all the pros use and blah 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 blah. And that's just not true. Everybody uses completely different things.
absolutely,
So
yeah.
we were talking about this last month, was it? You know, so you've got the Pro Q3, and you said you barely use it. You use the Logic stock more than
I
you
use
use the
that one a
Pro.
lot, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the reason why I use the Logic stock,
You
and
got
this is
like a
going to sound ridiculous,
£400, you know, like
yeah, I think this is going
VST,
to
and then
sound,
you use the Logic stock because it's more convenient and it does exactly the same thing, except for maybe the brick wall limiter, which the free isotope would do anyway, wouldn't it?
yeah, there are a few benefits to the Q3 that are like EQ match, and there's like a you can use it to do what's the word I'm looking for, like compressing at the same time, EQ compression. I forgot what it's called.
Yeah, it's
uh
yeah,
anyway, you
yeah,
know what I mean, and I think
yeah.
everyone will know what
It's
I
late,
mean.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but my I guess my point is the reason why I reach for the Logic EQ is because it's less buttons to click. Genuinely, that's mainly the reason, because most of the time when I'm doing EQ moves, it's like, okay, this has got too much low end, let's cut the low end out. I don't need to do too much surgical use on it. I just need something that will actually get the job done. The only times when I use Q3 are when I really need to be surgical here, and or like there's something that the splitting like mid-side EQ versus what's it like, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and like so I bought this like last month, what 5 weeks ago. Okay, so if you can see, it is the UC1. I use this all the time, and it's something that you just hit on, that the nail on the head really, is that you just use it because you're used to it. It's less things to press, and it's less things to think about because you're so used to the EQ. Yeah. That's why I bought that. Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So what I would say, like, to and I hopefully add to this as well, but is that when you're looking at plugins, when you're looking at things, don't go, oh, I wonder what that's gonna be like, in the mix. How's that gonna be like to work? Don't buy things not knowing whether you're going to use it or you're not going to use it. The whole reason I bought that was I knew it was 2 plugins that I was going to use, and those 2 plugins would be on every single channel. So in my project, in my template, I've got 247 now. And I've got one instance of both of those 2 plugins on every single track. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But at the same time, that means that I only need to know how to use 2 plugins to get the sound I want.
That's a very good point.
That
And
is
that
why
goes.
I got it. And you came up to mine. What was it? 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was about
Three,
that, maybe a
yeah,
month. I'm not sure
and yeah,
exactly.
maybe a month. And I came to yours 2 weeks ago, didn't I? Or like down. Yeah, but when you were up here, so we wrote a track and we mixed it. Yeah, and you watched me mix a track for a client whilst I was there, and it
Yeah,
took me
not long.
7 minutes at the most.
It wasn't that long. Yeah, it
There
was.
were
It was.
there were
It
50
was.
tracks. I mixed it in 7 minutes. We bounced it down, listened on my phone, listened on a couple of other things. It was good. I sent it off. They loved it, and it was done. Why could I do that? It was
Because you were familiar.
because I was very familiar. Yeah, I knew exactly what I was doing. It was, the tactile thing is an awesome thing as well. But when I was, the thing to focus on when you're buying things as well and you're upgrading and whatnot, and you're thinking about mixing and writing and whatnot, you've got to think about, will you use it and why will you use it? Yeah. And I can't remember what composer it is. There's a composer that buys an instrument and then makes a decision that they're going to use that instrument in the very next thing that they write.
I think
I
I think
cannot remember who it is.
is it Junkie XL? It seems like something he might do.
No, it's not Junkie XL. But he might do it. But there's no. Yeah,
I don't
there's
know.
somebody I
But
cannot
yeah,
remember. Anyway, but that's the kind of mentality that you have. You need to have. So
it's a
so
good
they
mentality.
only bet. This person, whoever it is. I'm so sorry. Is has the right idea because they force themselves out, and that means that they must turn around to themselves and say, okay, I'm not going to buy that thing that just came out that everybody's raving about.
Because I have no use for it.
For instance, at the moment, Symphonic Destruction, that's a sounds immense, sounds so good. I think I would use that in every single track until 2035 if I had that right now. I don't need it, so that's why I've not bought it.
Yeah,
But but then I think to myself, okay, but how often would I use it?
and is it worth the money?
And if
That
is it
yeah,
worth it? And I'm thinking, oh, I'm writing string tracks at the moment and orchestral loveliness. I don't
yeah.
need it. I
It's
just
not
don't
right
need
now.
it.
Not
It's
right
not
now.
right.
I
Yeah.
think it goes to the uh, a similar very very related note, which is when you start out, it's very easy to think, oh, I need these 15 compressors, I need these 15 EQ plugins, I need these 15 saturation plugins, I need these 50, like just one will do the job, maybe two for like different
Yeah.
things, but
Different tones
like
and something. Yeah.
and for 99% of all the things, well, for all of the things that come stock, so compressors, EQ, all that sort of stuff, you can do a very professional job just with stock EQs and
Yeah.
stock plugins. The
I'm
time
actually
to expand is not
yeah.
when you're a beginner. It's when you know, okay, I know how to use the stock stuff now. Okay, now I want to experiment a little bit and go, oh, that I might improve the workflow. For example, you bought that thing because it improves your workflow better.
Yeah.
Not
And all
because you're a
yeah.
beginner and you don't know what you're doing. You just need another EQ and another,
Yeah, exactly. But that was from 4 years of buying lots of other plugins. So, and that's one of the reasons I didn't migrate my old system onto my new computer, was because I had probably about 500 plugins, all of which I probably used about 30 or 40.
Yeah.
And now I've got 30 or 40 that I use all the time. I haven't added to them other than the UC1 stuff. But actually, all the UC1 is a glorified mouse. Other than that,
Yeah. It's
and
just a
some,
different workflow thing.
yeah, it literally is. It's like, but that's exactly what a MIDI keyboard is. So
It
some
is
people,
exactly, yeah.
yeah. So some people are dissing the UC1 at the moment because it's a glorified mouse. But then everything you plug into the computer is a control service. It's a mouse. That's
Yeah.
all it is. Yeah, it's
Very good
a
point.
mouse or a keyboard. You're using it to input data, so no matter what you buy, that's its purpose. That's what it's going to do. And my advice, just to finish off, is keep it simple, stupid. That's what I tell myself.
It works. Works.
Yeah, keep it simple, stupid, because at the end of the day, goes with writing music as well. So like when you're composing, do you think about all of the magic harmonies when you've got a deadline that's on 2 hours time?
Not at
Like
all.
you
No.
could do no.
I
You
go,
go,
does it work? Yes,
yeah, and
I'll
you go,
use it. Does it?
C F G bish bash bosh out.
Yeah. I'm not thinking, right, I need to use this negative harmony now. I need to do this. I'm like,
Yeah.
it sounds good enough. We'll send it out. Like, I'm obviously making sure it does sound good enough. It's
Yeah.
not like it can't be just rushed and done, but it has to sound to a certain point. But
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about how I can reinvent the wheel on it, because you can't reinvent the wheel on every single piece of music. A lot of the time you are just going to be playing, your standard basic harmony, all diatonic, no spices or anything.
No frills, yeah.
Sometimes that's all that's needed.
99%, that's all.
That's a lot of most of the time, it's all that's needed.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you can have the spice as just like, it could be a specific drum hit or drum sound. It could be it could be anything, but just something that grabs your attention as a track. And I think that's what makes a good track into a great track, is even if it's not the most reinventing the wheel track, it's just a it's just a bog standard track, but it's got something that grabs the ear, whether that's like a catchy hook or something like that. And bringing it back around to library music, I guess that would be a good way to do it. Is in terms of library music, that where that comes from, the term needle drop, which is what they call it when they use a library track in a thing. It's called needle drop placements, and that comes from the music supervisors back in the 80s when they're on vinyl, or maybe even the 70s, and they'd get a vinyl of library music and they go, that's the one. And it'd be something that would grab their ear, and they'd listen to probably 3 seconds of each track with the needle dropped onto the vinyl. 3 seconds. No, that's the one. And there'd be something that grabs their ear. And that's the idea. Because I know editors, and they spend literally the same amount of time listening to library music. They go, I'm looking for a scene, right? Next. So you've got to grab them like that. It's got to grab them immediately.
Which is something we naturally do, isn't it, when we're composing? When we're listening to all of the sounds that we think, trying to find the right sound for the right track, that we're working on. What do? We pull up, Contact or whatever, or get a guitar out, or, whatever you do, and you go, no,
yeah,
no.
It's the same.
So we do it, but we don't expect them to do it.
But they do. That's exactly how they work.
That's exactly, because
so, and you've got to write your music in a way, and like one man's treasure is another man's trash. Like what you write could be the best music in the world for a specific scenario, but it couldn't be, like, say I'm like an editor and I'm making a sports documentary or like a sports advertisement, and I'm looking for like hip hop tracks with like some excitement, and I go down and I hear one that's like classical and orchestral. It could be an amazing track, but it's just not right for this brief, so I'm going to skip past that. But then at the same time, I might be later on in that sports documentary, and they're talking about the empowerment and how they've come from being like this working class kid from the middle of nowhere country and working for $1 a day or something, and now they're a multimillionaire sports star and they work their way up. And then you could get the same roaring orchestral track of emotional, the same one they skipped on earlier on. They might pick that just because, and it might be the same show, might be the same editor. There's different moments, and it's all about giving a wide variety of moods and making that track be one mood specifically. So if you have a track that starts emotional, it should just end emotional. It should always be emotional all the way through, and then write another track that's exciting all the way through. Write another track that's dark and mysterious all the way through, and yeah, the more moods you nail, the more placements you'll get.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Unless, well, you know, yes and no, I think, isn't it? You know, it depends if your niche is one style.
Oh
If
well,
you,
in that case, yeah,
if
yes,
your if your niche is exciting music or whatever, and you just want to stick with that, then
we'll go
great,
ahead.
stick with it. But then instead of diversifying your style, you tailor your style, but then you diversify the amount of people you send your style out to.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely. And
it's
then
either
therefore,
way. Yeah, definitely.
I think either way you end up with the same. You can either nail a niche and go, I'm gonna be the best. I don't know, emotional piano, 2 minute, like sad chords piano with strings composer that has ever been. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to send it to 50 libraries, and we're going to have 50 tracks in 50 libraries of all that style. And every time one of those things comes on TV, they use your music. Or you go like, okay, I'm going to do 10 tracks in that style. I'm going to do 10 tracks in that style. I'm going to send them to about 3 or 4 libraries each of like 10 tracks in that style in that library, 10 tracks in the same style in that library. But meanwhile, another. You can sort of I think the beauty of library music is you can forge your own path out of it. You can go like, yes, there's briefs to write to, but you've got a lot of control over it. Really, you can say, I want to write this style of music. I'm going to find someone who works at that kind of music. And especially when you've done it a little bit more, you can start to pitch things to libraries and start to go, I want to do this. Can we do that? And you can really forge your own path with it. And I think that's the main beauty of it, really, is you can. It's unlike most of the things where you're doing something for somebody else. You are still doing something for somebody else, but you can really narrow that down to be exactly what you want to do. And I think that's the main attraction to it for me, is that I can just spend all day doing things I like doing.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think we'll leave it there, Sam. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll do another one pretty soon, hopefully, because there were lots of things there that we could probably have elaborated on. Yeah, definitely. Because we're just talking about things that we're passionate about. So yeah, awesome. I'll let you go, and we'll stop the stream, and we'll see you again. Thank you very much, Sam, for coming.
Thank you very much for having me on the stream.
No, it's all right.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure to have you, and thank you everybody for coming in and out as well, and joining in when you could. Very sorry for the slight delay of 20 minutes or so in the middle where we were just getting things sorted. Honestly, it was an absolute nightmare, but we got there, and hopefully this will be edited probably tomorrow, and that bit will be taken out, and you can just watch it as you go. Okay, so yeah, see you later, Sam. See you later, guys.
Bye. See you guys. Bye bye.